We'll get back to that. Welcome back to Bay Sunday. Our next guests are representatives from the Montessori education system. And for those that are not familiar with Montessori, it is a revolutionary method, of supporting the natural development of a child by allowing that child to explore, discover, and learn in hopes that that child inspires their own personal development. Please welcome Ann Clark. She's the Associate Head of the Valley Montessori School. That's in Livermore. And Alyssa Moore, she's co-chair of the American Montessori Conference, which is coming up right here in San Francisco next month. Ladies, welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Tell our viewers, sometimes you hear Montessori and you think monastery, you think religion.
Right.
People get confused.
That's
what
true.
exactly is it?
That's true. Montessori actually was developed by a person named Maria Montessori. She was one of the first women physicians of her time in Italy in the early 1900s. And so she developed the Montessori approach with a scientific background. And with that, she recognized that children really have an intrinsic desire to learn through curiosity and by exploration.
Okay.
So that's, really the base of the philosophy.
And how did you ladies get involved? Did you school your children this way?
Both my children are currently in a public Montessori school here in the Bay Area, and I am a product of traditional public education, but they've been both in Montessori education, and I'm on the board of directors of the American Montessori Society, which is the foremost advocate of Montessori quality education.
And how old are your kids?
My daughter is 13 and my son is almost 10.
And it's been obviously a very good experience because you're very involved. But tell us, how is it different from the traditional education system, and how the kids progress in so many ways? My wife would have been just the perfect, because she's an artist. Mm-hmm. She's a very creative person. Right. She wakes up, she's a different flavor every day. Right. And she is, if you put a book of physics in front of her, she's like, no thanks. But you put music in front of her and she just runs with the wind,
Well, that's the beauty of Montessori, is that children can learn at their own pace and with their own interests. So a teacher really becomes a guide for the child. She hopes to inspire versus direct a child. So you'll see in a Montessori classroom a teacher moving about, giving a child individual or small group lessons. The teacher isn't standing in front of the class teaching the same subject to all the children at the same time. And children are also grouped in multi-ages. So there'll be a 3-year age span in a classroom, which allows children to be inspired by older students, as well as children that are older are able to mentor younger children, and that's really your true learning, when you're able to practically teach what your knowledge is.
Okay, and tell us about the big conference that's coming up next month.
Yes, we have a conference on March 15th through the 18th, right here in San Francisco at the Marriott Marquis. We are anticipating over 3,000 attendees from worldwide, including teachers, educators, people who are interested in research and child development. And one of the things that is the hallmark of our conference is going to be our Friday event, which is a parent and community day, where we will be having special workshops directly for parents and community members who are interested in learning more about Montessori education and what they could do with their children at home, and how they could apply what the children are learning at school in the home environment, as well as a demonstration classroom, which I'll have Ann talk a little bit about.
Okay, go ahead.
Right. Yeah. Well, first of all, in 1915, San Francisco hosted a World's Fair. And at that time, Maria Montessori was asked to come bring her new way of teaching to San Francisco. So she brought in 30 children, and people came and observed the children interacting in a Montessori environment. People were flabbergasted. They came day after day to watch what was going on in the classroom. So we felt it was fitting to, again, here almost 100 years later, to have a demonstration classroom here in San Francisco once again. So Valley Montessori School out in Livermore was chosen to be the school that would represent this classroom. So we're bringing 25 children and their teachers here on that day for a 3-hour classroom. So people can come and sit around or stand around the edge of the classroom and look down into a working class to see
see
what
how it all works.
Montessori really is like.
And they must be pretty excited
The
about that.
kids
I
are
bet.
thrilled
I
about
bet.
it. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I bet. And age groups, I mean, they start pretty young with this.
Right. You can begin as early as infancy. So there are Montessori infant programs. At Valley Montessori in Livermore, we serve children from 18 months through 8th grade.
Through 8th grade. Now, does it progress after that, or do kids eventually go to high school, or how does that work if you're going to a Montessori school until you're 8th grade and then high school?
There are a few Montessori high schools, unfortunately not right here in the Bay Area, but there are a number of schools right here in the Bay Area that do go through middle school. One of the things that parents often ask is, how do children transition?
I was just going to say, if you've been in this
Right.
totally different environment, you know, where it's about creativity and exploring, you know,
Absolutely.
this
It
and
is-
that, and then all of a sudden you're in this structured environment where we need this and this is geometry. That's got to be a bit of a head shaker.
You know, we've asked a lot of children how they've done through their transitions, children and adults who've been in Montessori education, and what they uniformly say is they're feeling tremendously prepared for that transition because they develop such self-confidence through the Montessori program and are very self-directed and self-motivated. So the transition doesn't seem to be a problem with these children. So.
Well, very good. One of our neighbors, when I was in New Hampshire, raised his kids that way, and the kids were awesome, engaged and curious, well-spoken, polite, interesting. You know, when you talk to a 7 and 8-year-old kid, how you doing? Oh, all right. You know, sometimes you get
Right.
that, and these two boys in particular were just, hey, Frank, you know, very verbal, and it was
Well,
pretty
if
cool.
you think about who the founders of Google, Wikipedia, Amazon, Yo-Yo Ma, those were all Montessori people.
Yeah, they did okay.
They were thinkers outside the box.
I guess so. Well, your
Yeah.
conference is coming up next month. We wish you all the best. Thanks for coming in, ladies. Really
you so
appreciate
much.
it.
Thank you.
Take care. For more information about the 2012 conference, March 15th through the 18th at the Montessori Schools, please log on to AMSHQ, American Montessori School Headquarters.org. It's a mouthful, but it's worth it. Check it out. More Base Sunday coming up right after this. Stay with us.